we're doing the 1% Sales Mastery post call, and I've invited Tristan O'Grady from Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Who on here is from the East Coast and from the West Coast? Anybody on here from the East Coast? I don't know. Well, we're here to talk to you about, so Tristan sells a ton of, I see you, Joni, sells a ton of luxury houses, a number one in South Carolina by like 5 times in sales, I believe. Is that correct, Tristan?
It's up there. Yeah, something like that. We're definitely the number one ranked team in South Carolina.
Awesome. So question for you right now in the market, the way that it is, what is your most expensive listing, if you don't mind me asking?
We have the most expensive one right now is listed for about $14 million. It's the highest priced home in the Hilton Head and Bluffton market.
Okay. And how are you seeing that market? What's been your experience with these buyers? Are they coming in cash? Are they doing some multiple different types of financing? What's been your experience?
Well, that market softened for us. This house is a brand new oceanfront spec house, and it was completed in the third quarter of 24, and it really softened that market in Hilton Head at the end of the year. And I wasn't really even getting showings, interest, or anything. And I don't know what it is, but I've had 2 showings today on it. We've probably had 20 showings this year. And it's heating up. So typically at that price point, 90% of the time it's cash.
Cash, yeah. So a question for you, like one of the agents that was actually showing it, was at Cabo, was she not?
Yeah.
I thought I heard you talking about that house. I knew the house.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you basically, are you like outreaching to agents, other top agents, and selling that price point? Like, how are you getting your exposure to those agents to get them to pay attention to your listing?
Yeah, so we do. We've done a number of things. We did a VIP event for the elite agents. There's 2,000 agents in our marketplace, and we picked the top probably 60 or 70 that sell that level of a property. So we did a nice VIP event there. They could come along and have a drink and put some sushi out and had a band and all that kind of stuff. And we follow up, regularly with the people that have shown it and the people in the marketplace that are moving those kinds of properties. But yeah, that's typically who's going to bring the buyer.
Yeah. Are you, if someone was trying to up their price point, their average price point to get more opportunities in the luxury or the higher price point, what would be your top recommendation, Tristan?
I would direct mail those areas and those addresses. Like I got 2 listings last year in the Sea Pines Beach market, and that really starts around $2 million. And I got 2 calls from my mail to list 2 houses. I got both the listing appointments. I did not know them. They just called me from the mail. So even though it's old school, direct mail works. It's expensive, but it's probably still the number one way with advertising to get business. Now, the only thing I'd say is if you're in an area where it's really young buyers, that might not be the case. But this is old money, and that still works. So at the end of the day, with direct mail, it goes in their hand. Even if it goes straight in the trash, there's a good chance that somebody saw it. Whereas if you do a magazine, there might be 200 pages, right? You just don't know. Not that I do magazines as well, but that's usually a different kind of reaction. That's a slow reaction for building a brand. You typically don't get a listing or sell a listing from a magazine. It's just kind of more that drip factor. But direct mail is how I got 2 listings last year in the luxury on the beach side of Sea Pines.
So do you do anything for your clients? So like if you were going to get your business going right now, regardless of what price point it is, what would be the one thing you would say to do? Like what does Rick do with his business? I mean, some of this is going back to like, yes, you were building a brand. So you built like a quality brand, like their brand is Coast. You see it behind them and it has a nice look to it, but you built that brand through social media, through all these different platforms, from what I can tell from an outsider. Yeah. And then what does Rick do? Like, what does that take for you guys beyond the brand to get that?
Yeah. I mean, as building the brand is all of the stuff put together, I feel is what helps the brand, whether it's social, video. We're big on video. We've had some big sales from people seeing our videos, But the number one thing is back to the phone. You've got to pick up the phone. You've got to literally, we call people every day. I'd say number one, and then number two is he personally handwrites thank you cards. We had some Coast cards made up, Coast brokered by EXP, blue with a wave on the front, and every day, it doesn't matter whether he ran into, a little old lady at the store that knew me or somebody, or whether he ran into somebody who's a client, or maybe he ran into somebody at one of he serves on local boards, but he's not doing it from a position of, are they going to give me business? He just religiously sends out 3 to 5 handwritten cards to somebody every day. And from the world that big spear that creates over years and years of doing it has probably been his success story, just
sounds like
constantly touching people.
Each of you personally sell between 70 and 90 million. Am I right on that?
Our record was around, we were usually doing around 100 to 120 for the last 5 or 6 years together. Rick's around 70 million and I was around 40 to 50. It did pull back a little bit last year, but we've grown as a team. So we're also helping our agents build. We've got a 300 million. We've already done almost 70 million this year already. So we're involved with our agents. So it's a slightly different dynamic now. But we closed, I think last year we probably closed, in that 70 arena between us. And then our team did another 200 to 300.
So what I find really interesting about that is you've already sold 70 million this year. And it's the momentum off of last year. It's like the compounding effect of everything you've done, but you're still going down to the basics of like making sure the relationships is where it's key. I mean, you're talking to builders, you're talking to your county, your commissioners, you're in relationship with people who are the movers and shakers of your area, and you're having lots of conversations. And that's really the foundation of the business. Am I right on that?
Yeah, absolutely. You just have to keep reaching out to people. It's you never know when something's going to sell, and you just have to, and often here you are, and you have to be careful not to put too many eggs in one person's basket. You think this person over here is going to sell it, and here you are, you're just feeding everything, and and often it's the person over here. So it's keeping that kind of wide funnel open because they can come from anywhere. My favorite story is Tracy Edmonds. She was dating Deion Sanders, and at the time, and I was dropping videos on Beverly Hills 90210 on those paid for social media videos, and she called me from the video, watching the video. She flew into Hilton Head, took her out. She ended up putting a contract on a house. In the end, that didn't work out, and I stayed in touch with her. I just kept calling her when I saw something that I knew would mean something to her. I didn't just inundate her with crap that wasn't her. She wanted a very specific house. It was waterfront. It had 4 buildings on it. It was acreage. And when that thing came on, I told her she had to buy it today. And she was in Beverly Hills, and she had to trust me. And I sent my assistant down, and she videoed it, and we put the deal together. And she lives in it today, and she loves it. But it's being effective in your message as well, isn't it? Don't drown them in junk.
Right. It's I think that the fact that you listened to what her needs were, and then you were working with what her goals were in mind. I mean, that's just professionalism. And like you said, you're not just relying on a software like platform to just send her random houses. It's like, hey, I found this. You need to buy this. When you're like, look, this is a once in a lifetime property. This is not coming around again. It's leading the person so that they know, because she's in California. She doesn't know that this is a once in a lifetime property, that she needs to buy it. It's exactly what she told you. I think that leading the client is really important part of this. And they have that confidence in knowing that you're going to get the job done for them.
Yeah. I mean, this story it's incredible because I had to get involved with what was happening out there in California with her house. And by being proactive and helping on that side, I got the big paycheck, right? I didn't get paid out there, but she was like, Tristan, what am I going to do? I need to sell. She lived next door to Paris Hilton. She's like, I need to sell this house. I'm not, she probably could have bought the other house, no problem, but she didn't want to have a house in California that wasn't resolved. So I said, tell me what's going on with that house. She said, well, this is in COVID. She's like, well, the market's beginning to get a little weird here. You can't get a U-Haul out of there. that you literally couldn't. There was so many people were leaving, houses were beginning to sit, and she was worried that she was going to start doing this. Right, it's a $10 million house, and everybody's leaving California. So what she did is she gave me all of the contacts of anybody that was interested. And I said, "What about this guy? He made you an offer of 7.5. How long ago was that?" "Oh, that was about a year ago. I think he's gone. Get him on the phone." So she found him, got him on the phone. I said, "Make a deal with him. Tell me, And she's like, do I really only take, 7.5? And I'm like, yes. This house is 4.5 here. You're moving to an area that's booming. They're moving out of there. Is the house, she wanted 10 million for it. And, she wasn't getting that. But it took me, she trusted me to tell her, did she want, and she wanted that life. And did you want to sit there and maybe wait another 2 years and maybe get 8.5 million? Or maybe she's going to get 6.5 million, right? So I dug into her personal thing and I helped her on that side. And we actually put the whole thing together. Once she had that done, we got the guy to buy it, and we put the whole thing together, contingent on the close of that. It was like 2 hours, So you have to think a little bit outside the box, and sometimes to get the higher end properties.
Well, I think just, anytime you can be proactive on the other side, because there's not just one side of the equation, is there? It's always like they've got this and this and this, and if you're only looking at one facet of it, or then you're missing out on the bigger picture to be able to help make that transaction happen, and like to build that trust to be able to get the job done. People, especially in the luxury, they're really looking for an advisor, someone to really guide them. And once you have built that trust, you become almost like their accountant or their financial person. And this is a financial decision they're making. And I've done the same thing. I've sat down, like some people have, they're, for those of you who want to hear no disc, they have a high C personality where they have more of an engineered personality. And I helped a client of mine, we were selling her house. She's like, well, if I do this, I laid out all the numbers for her. We moved from a 750 house to a 2.5. That house is now worth almost $8 million. And I call her and I remind her, I'm like, hey, do you remember we bought this for 2.5 and right now you're valued at around 7 to 8 million. I always call my clients and let them know, because so they're not going to move, but I want them to remember, hey, we got in a good financial position because of the advice based on our realtor gave us. And I love that, being a part of that story. But you got to remind people where it started sometimes, right?
It was me. I helped you.
I helped you.
$5 million richer. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And, Leo said something, and we use it a lot in our team meetings. But do you remember at the beginning of 2025, there was I think it was a 2025 Outlook meeting, and it was Brent, Leo, Tina Call, and Glenn. And at the end, they all had what's the summary, what's going to be the thing. And Leo said, you've got to put the client in the center. And if you are serving your client and you're thinking everything through and looking out for them and making them feel and doing what actually needs to be done through that, because these big properties are usually owned by smart people and they want to feel special. And you've got to give them immediate service. You've got to call them back with the answers. Never lie, never fluff it through. I'll get it for you, right? But you let them know that you're on top of it and get on top of it. Because if you don't, somebody else will. But it's generally never that hard. It's really just about being just on top of it, being timely and go getting those answers today,
It's a relationship that will probably last you a lot of years. They're not usually short-term relationships. It's usually, where a lot of the lower price points, the relationships are a little like, oh, my sister does real estate. They're not going to hire their sister to sell their $8 million house. I mean, the one that's only done 2 transactions, they're going to say they kind of have their team and they really respect it. Once they've got like this person, that person, they don't want to mess with it. It's time for them. It's not money. So they'll pay a little bit more just for the expertise and just to know that they're not going to have the problems. I mean, I'm not like that person. I'm not personally to that level, but I feel that way. I think a lot of us, and as people are moving their business, I think even if you're in a lower price point of 6, 7, 800,000, which still I think is a lot of money for a home. I think if you treat them like they're a luxury client, you're naturally going to scale up your luxury business. I know you are because we've done it with our business. Like that's how
Yeah.
I was able to get into those bigger price points myself because we have a large team as well. Nothing like what Tristan has built, but we were around 155 million at one point. And it's like, to get into those bigger price points, you have to be able to have those conversations and build that trust.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna sell what you associate yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
There's a girl called Wendy Goss in
Love
EXP
that.
Luxury. She was at Cabo. We all just saw her. And there's a gal that works at Coast who just joined, and she signed up for Wendy's luxury program. And she saw her the first day, and they did a picture on social media. But what's really interesting is she went through the steps on Wendy's program, and she hadn't sold a property over $1 million. And while we were in Cabo, she was under contract on a $2.8 million house, and it was her
Wow.
highest ever. But what did she do? She started focusing on those properties. So I said, how did you get that buyer? And she goes, the only thing I can attribute it to is the association with this 15 Bald Eagle, this oceanfront house of mine that's 14 million. She went down there, took the initiative to do some videos down there, and she got all this content, and she was releasing it probably through YouTube and social media. And when you do that, if you can come up with the right headlines, the phrases, and you can spend a little bit of time. You don't have to get a video editor. You can do this on your own. It takes a while. You can put together these fast-moving clips and shorts and all that kind of stuff. And before you know it, you might have a few thousand, 10,000. I think I've had 40,000 on one of ours. You can put a little bit of money behind it, whether it's $100, $200, $50, and get even more eyes on it. But that's what she said she thinks bought that buyer. She associated herself with that kind of a property. If you mail $200,000 neighborhoods and you do videos at $200,000 neighborhoods, that's what you're going to sell, right? You don't have to have that listing to necessarily associate with it. You could be there at open house tour. You could call the listing agent. I generally don't mind people trying to sell my property for me. So those kinds of things, are things you do, but you definitely market into those areas.
There's a girl, just so you guys, this is an interesting story. There's a girl named Lydia Kapp, and she's 21 years old. She's in Knoxville, Tennessee, so not a high price point. And she realized that if she could niche, and and Brandon Greenplay, who Tristan and I both know, says the riches are in the niches. And she niched into luxury by posting video like what Tristan's saying about these condo complexes, because she said, they're difficult. You have to know like where the gym is in the building, how they access the building. And she started knowing like the property managers, the people that are running these buildings, and they're like, oh, Joey on the 17th floor is considering selling his condo. Well, now she's got like almost like a little ear inside the condo telling her what's going on and who's thinking about doing what, because this person sees them every day as they're entering and exiting the building. So like having those kind of relationships, I thought that was brilliant. And this girl is in college. She's in school to be a financial major, and I think she might be 22. And she sold like $40 million worth of real estate in her first year or two of real estate.
Crazy, isn't it?
Insane. So like if she can do, the reason I'm sharing that with everyone is if someone that age can do that while they're in college, why can't we? Right? We can lean on the fact that we're coming out of a bad market, and yes, we are, but there's so much opportunity because so many people will not lean into the bad market. They will leaning into what they're good at, or finding that place and getting like a precision into that market somehow. There's just ways to do it, and you just have to be willing to do the effort.
Yeah, the good news is here, I don't know about all the other markets, but here the market is showing noticeable changes. We've got more inventory. There's a lot of buyers. Rates are coming down. Where we are right now is so much better than where we were 6 months ago. So we're feeling pretty good about the market. And it's not the market ever. It's what you do, right? If you look at the market when it's dead, all these agents usually drop out, and all the miserable ones, the ones who aren't really supposed to be in the market, they're not really doing anything. But if you're really trying to make a living at it, you're out there hustling, trying to do 20, 30, 40, 50 deals a year. And those people that were doing one or two, they all go away anyway. And you're still going to have a great year, even if the market's down 50%, if you're hustling, you should be able to do 20, 30 deals a year, period, any market, because there's people come and go, people have life events, all that stuff happens. It's not like it stops.
Right.
It's just not as much maybe luxury volume or second home buyers, but there's plenty of activity, and you have to make a decision. Am I going to have the business, or am I going to let somebody else have the business? And I made that decision after having a couple of hard years after the collapse in 07, 08. I never want to feel that pain again. I'm like, I'm going to be one of those guys doing the deals. And because there's always guys doing the deals.
Always. And we just have to decide that we're the one. We are the one. So the people on this call are here. Does anybody have any questions? Because we are at the very end of our call here. But Tristan, thanks for jumping on with us and sharing that, because I think a lot of people need to hear that. And I think it's super helpful. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts or anything at all they want to share? Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Have a great week.